Okay, so I'm going to take one of the RGB fans out of the front of my case, switch it with the fan on the cooler so that I have extra RGB in the case.
Okay, that sounds like it'd be a good idea.
Yes, and I need your help to hold it while I do it because there's going to be some sketchy wiring.
Whoa, whoa. No one said anything about me doing my own stunt work. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
do
that's
my
in the
own stunt.
contract. That's all
No,
part of the podcast 101.
no, no. You get electrocuted, you get pinched, and that's gonna take forever to heal.
Now you're going to be fine.
I'm comfortable doing my own nudity.
No one wants that, Josh.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. You're watching Broken Port Media, and this is the Broken Port podcast. Isn't it not, Mitchell?
That is correct, Josh. So, welcome to the next episode this week. We've got a great show lined up for you. We've got stories about Microsoft laptops. They got the new Snapdragons in the Surfaces now,
And they're
which are
snappy.
really coming up on the Macs. So, let's see how that's doing. We're going to talk about this big buzz of this Game Pass price hike on Xbox because just as Xbox started getting everybody excited from their showcase, now they're bringing up prices.
Boo.
And one way makes sense, but another way, if there's a price upgrade or price hike, everyone's going to be mad about it no matter what. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about VPNs as well.
Mm.
And then you'll just have to see what we got in for the tier list today. We're going to do our first tier list. This is something we talked about a little bit ago, and we're going to see if it works. And maybe
Yeah,
we'll do it on its own. Maybe we'll do these just here and there in the cast. We'll see what happens.
we're dipping our toes into the tier list. It's always great content.
Yeah. We're now also streaming on Spotify and all your major podcast listening platforms. So we're going to try to keep this also a little bit more listener-only friendly. We'll see how that goes today.
We're in your ears, man.
What's something tech-related that's making your life easier?
Okay, so last week me and the wife had a little discussion, and everybody knows that means. And it was about late night watching TV, kind of waking her up with the blue light and everything. And she's got a point. I'm not in the market for a laptop. I'm not in the market for an iPad. All I need is something bigger than a phone, 7-inch phone, to watch some shows, some YouTube or some Netflix. So what I got, I have a Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck's great. But if you notice, the display is pretty much as big as a phone would be. So I went out to the local shop and got myself a run-of-the-mill external monitor. This is the ViewSonic. It was
Oh, yeah.
$150. Not bad at all. It's got Type C, but I don't know how to make it work with my dock because I only have the HDMI and the Type C is for charging. So I need another dock to make it work with just that. But it also has the mini HDMI in it, which is great. And it just lives on my nightstand, and I just watch some shows and then go to sleep. It makes my life
Sweet.
easier and solve the fight.
There you go. It's always good when tech can solve a fight with your wife.
Well, that should be easy, and it should make your life easier.
Should be
And
easy. We try.
your life is your partner too, right? So they're in it, and it should make
Oh,
their
yeah.
life easier too. So what's making your life easier?
So I have a little Raspberry Pi set up at home,
Mm.
and it can be as delicious as it sounds, but in a tech way. So I set this up a little while ago as a school project, actually, and was able to do a couple things. I made it like a home hub, but in a little bit more of like an automated way.
Mm.
So what I was able to do is I was able to set up my lights for outside to automatically turn on and off with sunrise,
Mm.
which is really nifty because it's used to just want to turn the lights off when you're going to bed, but theft is up and all these things. They say if you can keep your lights on, that's good overnight. So trying that out for now. But then I always forget to turn it off in the morning. So I have the smart switch, have this to set on and off with the sunrise and the sunset. But the cooler thing that I did is I was able to set up smart commands for my non-smart remote.
Mm.
So, well, it doesn't control the remote itself, but with the new Samsung TVs, you have the smart remote app. So you just pull it up, looks like a remote on your app. You control your TV, nice and easy, whatever. But
Mm.
I have an older Samsung from a few years back, one of the kind of lower tier models that we have in our room. And at night, remote's always gone. Doesn't matter if it's the big or the small Samsung remotes, they're always gone.
Yeah.
So if it's late and I can't be bothered to look for the remote and tear the room apart or whatever, I just open my phone and I have the smart commands. I can scroll around. I can do whatever I need to, like a regular remote. That I set up all these little commands
Mm.
in the app that runs right through the Raspberry Pi, goes to my TV, and I don't have a smart remote, but I made it work anyway. So
Tech should be
nifty,
easy.
nifty little thing. Lots you can do with Raspberry Pis. We can always talk about those more later.
Tech should be easy-ish.
So we have the first story here. First story is Microsoft laptops. Specifically, we're talking about the Surfaces with the Snapdragon chips. There's been a lot of news about the Snapdragon chips, that they're really good ARM chips. They're coming for Mac. They're coming for Apple with efficiency, with power consumption,
Mm.
finally giving Microsoft PCs a decent battery life, which is always difficult, especially if you have a PC that has any kind of power to it. You might as well be a desktop that's lighter because you have to live with it plugged in all the time. So hopefully this solves that problem. But it's going to be, I think, an uphill battle. It's not going to be so
Mm.
simple because for the cost of it as well and the specs and everything, I think it's going to be a tough sell. People that don't need a powerful computer will buy a Mac and spend the extra money because they've kind of developed that culture and the ease of use and these different things. But I don't know. I think the Surface laptops, they're going to be a tougher sell if they're at the same price point as the Mac. What do you think?
Yeah, like just like it's an elegant design. Like it's it's kind of ripping off the design a little bit, but like they're definitely thinner. I was doing a little research today. The keyboard apparently is way better than the previous generation. The trackpad on par, if not better, than the Apple trackpads now. The speakers, I was wearing headphones, and the guy did a side to side test, and I closed my eyes waiting for the song to restart, but I didn't realize that he was just skipping back and forth in the song.
Oh
If you
yeah,
can't tell, then it's the exact same audio there. But the battery life is better than Max. It beats the Max, and that's what people are so excited about. But it all comes the weight of the Copilot. A lot of people aren't crazy having this auto recall or whatever going on, and AI being shoved up our butts, even though like the average consumer is not ready for it, not whatsoever.
yeah, that's true. And I think that this whole rolling out Copilot is going to be a give and take situation. And by the sounds of it, Microsoft is already feeling the pushback, and they're going to have more of these options that are toggleable because
Yeah.
they have to. People aren't going to stand for it, especially if you're coming in at the same price as a Mac. They're just going to buy the Mac instead. They're not going to deal with this nonsense for this high ticket just to have a battery. They're going
Mm.
to get the battery life and everything else that they want.
Yeah, and another note: they were doing bench tests with the like graphics based, and not only did the Apple beat these co-pilot laptops, but the previous the M1s were better.
Mm.
So the Snapdragons, man, is a really good first showing. I can't wait for generation 3 and 4 and 5 to see
Yeah,
where they go with that. Like,
it's a good first step, and it will be nice to have even things a little bit more uniform in reliability of
yeah.
Apple and PC laptops, because I find that's the hardest thing is finding a good solid power battery lasting PC laptop.
Mm.
It's the hardest thing to find, and you can get a gaming laptop and it can have power, but it's not going to have battery life,
Yeah.
and it's usually going to run at a lower power even if it's unplugged.
Yeah.
So there's all these concessions you have to make, right?
Yeah,
We'll see if these ARM chips actually pull through with Snapdragon. I hope they do. Even to have more competition, it's going to make both of them, if they're really going to become a straight competitor to, say, the M line from Mac, those chips, they're both going to have to give more bang for the buck. There's going to have to be, whether that's in sales, whether that's giving you better specs for a better price, because they're coming in the same way like Apple. It seems like they might have a bit more RAM for the price, but all of these computers that are 1,000 plus that have maybe 256 gig SSDs, why? If you're buying
it should be
today,
automatic terabyte.
it should be, because if you're just doing email and stuff like that, and documents, and you don't need a lot of space, you're not buying a high performance laptop.
Yeah. Now
You can buy a cheaper one.
these benchmarks, like, let's not get it twisted. These aren't workstations.
No.
But the fact that, like, it's all coming together on the first generation, this kind of inspires competition, right?
Yeah, and like I've said before, uh, competition inspires innovation. So even looking at some of the pictures here of the Surface Laptop 7 looks exactly
Yeah.
like the MacBook,
Yeah.
like the Air.
Especially in that silver color.
Yeah, it looks just like, and they even have like a similar blue, the
Yeah.
midnight blue that Apple has.
And
It's almost
the
same
porting
color.
too, right? You
Yep.
got the headphone jack, the type, and then the two C's.
Yeah, very very similar. And if you're gonna go after Apple that way, you might love Apple, you might not. It doesn't matter. If you're gonna challenge the MacBook, you better get it right,
Come out swinging.
because if not, big waste of time, big waste of money. It's not gonna work out for you.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's see if the Surface pulls it off. I hope it does, just for the sake even of competition, to give me more options, to give everybody more options, and let's move forward with better technology in general for laptops.
Who would these be for? They're definitely not for, like, editors or anybody that, like, works on a workstation, but it might be for, like, someone working on apps and stuff, right?
You could code on it. It would also be, I think, for like the working professional who is on the go a lot, who needs that battery to last, who's not in their office. Again,
Doing
that's one of the
emails
big
on the bus and presentations in the boardroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Having the battery life of Mac is a big thing that pushes the sales, I think, for just these working professionals that aren't necessarily creatives who need all the processing power, because it lasts. They don't have to worry about constantly charging. And if Microsoft can offer something that way, a lot of companies will buy it as well, because most companies still use Windows, and you can use the Lenovo ThinkPads. Those are really common. Everybody uses those. But if you can have something that actually competes with the Mac for the battery life and just being solid, they will sell a lot of them if that comes around.
Yeah. You say those ThinkPads. I'm looking at a ThinkPad right now. That's what my wife works in the government.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Tons of people love them. They're super popular for business laptops.
It's an 8th generation i7.
Oh yeah.
So they keep them in house until they break.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they last especially when you're not doing the big processing power, and it's email, it's documents, whatever, it can last. So if Microsoft can pull through with this and have that good balance, and they could possibly replace the ThinkPad with this kind of battery life that people needed on the go, it could be practical at that point.
So less creatives, more professionals.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for that story.
Yeah. So after that, we're going to go on to story number 2, which is the big thing this week, the Game Pass price increase.
Boo!
Everybody's talking about it. Nobody's happy. Anytime there's a price increase anywhere, whether it's $1 or $10 for like a monthly subscription, no one's going to be happy. Because if it's a little one, they're going to be like, oh, well, what's even the point? They're just being greedy and da da da. But then if it's a significant one, like we're getting Game Pass, so I think it's a little different depending on the country you're in for the percentage. So in Canada, currently it's $18.99 Canadian per month plus tax. It's going up to $22.99 per month plus tax Canadian. That's about a 21% price increase. In the US, I believe it is $14.99 right now. It's going up to $19.99 a month. So for them, that's a third.
So
So it's a little bit bigger of a
what'd you
percentage
say
increase.
Canadian? It was 20 something?
So Canadian, it is currently $18.99. That's for Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, yeah. What's it
And
going to be?
then it's going to be $22.99. So basically
20.
$19. It's going up to $23. And then in the US, it's currently $14.99 or it's $15 going up to $20 a month.
So that's 275 a year, man. So like, yeah, bit by bit's not too much, but that's a that's some groceries for like a
Yeah.
week.
I forget if it was maybe it was 2 years ago, and I think it worked out to the price of Game Pass for me when when I had it before. I think it was like around $15 a month or something Canadian. So for a year, that would equal me buying 3 brand new games a year.
Mm.
Because at that time it was 80 Canadian dollars, and I forget if it was 60 or $70 US at the time for games for like the Xbox One, PS4 generation. Now it's more everywhere, but it used to be like, okay, Game Pass it's as if you're buying 3 new games a year. If I download at least 3 games that year that are AAA titles or just legit games, it was worth it because I got more than that. But more and more, they have to really keep raising the value for that to make sense.
But games aren't $60 anymore. Games are 90.
Yeah.
So you're comparing it to that, and you're also comparing it to what Game Pass was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's a night and day difference of what it is now. It's a completely different service. I can now play NHL on my computer.
They have it on PC now?
No. What they have is a streaming thing where you can stream it from an Xbox, not yours, but an Xbox somewhere in the world, and it's streaming off of that. Now there's some caveats. You walk way too long, it'll go to sleep and be like, "Oh, guess you're gone. So
Mm.
peace." Or if somebody signs in on your Xbox and it reads that you're online, it'll sign you off. But still kind of neat when it's like late at night and the Xbox in the living room and you don't want to go downstairs, but you just want one more game of something. Just you're already at your computer, boop bap boop. So
Yeah.
why the increase?
So, just really quick before the increase, just doing some quick little numbers here. So, in Canadian, it currently works out to 3 games a year. When it was 16, or no, I think it was 17 Canadian divided by. So it was 2.5 games a year that it used to cost. So games have gone up, and it's a little bit more percentage wise than it used to be. However, they do have more on Game Pass now because back then it wasn't like a day one situation. I
Hmm.
think at that price point, there were certain games that were starting to, but it wasn't a guarantee like they have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they have big games like Starfield coming out day one. And of course, the biggest thing that is also in the news is because of Activision, one of the
Oh.
biggest games in the world, Call of Duty, is coming to Game Pass.
Mm.
And people were saying, well, this is going to bring Game Pass up. Maybe they're going to do a different tier, all these different things. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Is it justified? I think so.
How much did Microsoft spend on Activision? $63 billion.
I don't know, it was like $28 or something like that. Nobody really cared, right? There was no like court cases or anything that happened.
That whole thing took like 2.5 years.
Yeah, that was huge. What was the price of that again? 68.7 billion.
Close. Closest without going over.
Yeah. And I think that was like the largest
So close to 69.
the largest purchase takeover whatever ever. I think it was the
Yeah.
biggest ever spent. Yeah. So doing that, making that kind of investment, yeah, you're going to need to get a return on your investment for sure. And if you think about it, what is another $5 a month? $60. So it's basically like everybody on Game Pass is buying that every year now.
Hmm.
They won't really they won't really lose money on it.
Yeah.
It'll with that price increase, if they're adding that game to every year, everybody just bought it.
Mitch, it's more than that though. Okay, so now you've spent the money to get all the Activision games, but the popular one, Call of Duty. And if there's one thing that we now know in gaming is all games, but especially these types of games, they're flooded with microtransactions. So
Mm-hmm.
they bought a revenue product, full on
Yeah,
knowing that they were going to be forget even well ahead 2 years into the first title dropping.
yeah, it's true. And with this move here, again, I think for if you're getting all of the library, because they're going to start adding the back titles. I've been seeing stories about that as well, and they're going to
Yeah.
be adding like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. You're getting Crash Bandicoot trilogy, Spyro the Dragon trilogy. You're getting all of these classic Activision games. With all that combined, that extra you're paying, yes, it is a price increase. It's more. No matter what, even if they didn't get Activision, would have gone up at least $1, maybe $2 this year, just with their other games regularly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way that goes. I think every year now Netflix goes up in price.
Yeah.
Everything is constantly inflating. So this year, yeah, they're going to get basically the price of everybody buying one more game a year with
Mm-hmm.
the Game Pass subscription,
Mm-hmm.
plus, like you said, the microtransactions. So they're going to be getting that income still.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's a thought experiment. What if I just stop buying games and I use Game Pass because maybe I only play these couple of titles and all I need is an Xbox and a PC. Why am I on Steam sales? Steam sales. Why am I even bothering with them?
Yeah,
Well, listen. You're not buying games on Game Pass. You're not playing games owned. These are licenses. Everything now in gaming is licenses.
mm-hmm.
So the second that thing expires, you're out in the cold with no jacket. And the nips are
Microsoft's taking my jacket, man.
making my nips hard. But no, this is a trend in gaming, and like we buried Ubisoft over this. Like if I let you go for 10 minutes, you could just do a screen match on Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's true. And I think Ubisoft was one of the first ones to just straight out say it, even though it's been the truth for quite some time.
They said the quiet thing loud.
Nobody wanted to admit it. No one wanted to hear it. And people are still trying to hang on to physical media and stuff, even though buying discs now is no different than
You're
buying
just
the
buying
digital
license.
version.
You're buying licenses.
Maybe the odd game still is on the disc, but even if it is, you have to download a day one patch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the same, and it will never be the same as it was with Super Nintendo or these old games or original PlayStation, where it was just, yeah, that's the game, you have it, that's it.
Yeah.
It's never going to be that
And
way. So
I
it
was
really
listening
doesn't
to
matter if you have the physical one anymore.
I was listening to Xbox Ready. Good recommendation last week, by the way.
Oh
And
yeah, Ray, Ray the man.
Him and Jimmy were talking about. Listen, I fired up the game. It didn't have an internet connection, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
It. I don't want to say gaming's become a communist state, but like they got the leverage. That's for sure.
yeah. It's you're putting the money in, and you don't have the same hold on the stuff that you once did. But what's the other option? It's there's no other option. If you think about it as well, if everything was still on disc, for one, each game would be multiple discs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to increase the cost of games, is how much discs cost. Then, just like everything else,
Not
like
convenient.
groceries, like all these things, trucks have to take it there. Gas went up, insurance went up, driver's pay went up. Everything that would require getting the discs to the store in those quantities, the amount that everybody buys, that went up. Everything else has gone up. So games now, if the main thing was physical games, they would probably be at least double the price that they are.
Yeah.
There's no way games would be any lower than 120 Canadian.
Listen, the physical media is going the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah.
We've already seen it happen in media. Now it's happening with video games. What I do see happening for the more frugal gamer is what happens if you have a subscription to this, you have a subscription to EA Play or whatever. And I know sometimes they bundle them all together, but like these eventually could stack up. Well, what I think you'll see from a small percentage of the audience is they'll just sub out subscriptions. They'll just do cycles. Oh,
Yep.
COD got a new DLC. I'm go trigger my Game Pass. Oh, there's stuff going on with Assassin's Creed. Time to do my Ubisoft. I'm sure they have a subscription. I don't know, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like this will,
Yep.
unless the super giant Microsoft just did what they did with Activision and just slowly takes all over the whole pie. And then all that's left are indie developers.
Yeah. It's possible. There's a lot of moving parts. Anything can kind of happen now that this Activision deal has gone through. Any of these big companies, yeah, like EA or whatever, they can be bought. Maybe PlayStation would try to buy EA, even though I don't think they could afford it. But um,
Not after that hack.
Yeah, and the other hack, and all those other hacks. No, again, we've said this in previous shows, but nothing's perfect. Physical media can break or get lost, get damaged, and digital media can get cut off because of your internet connection or license expiring. None of this stuff is forever. As much as people want it to be, it's not. What that you buy now is forever. What about your phone? No. That's physical. You have your phone. You can pay a lot more than you would for a game, but you're not going to have that thing more than a couple years, really. The average person, some people will still hang on to it, absolutely, because it works for them and everyone's got their thing. But average consumer, 2-3 years, yeah, you're switching your phone out.
So these industries, and now it's happening with gaming, they've got the leverage. Is what it is. We were supposed to vote with our dollars, and we let the floodgates in when we were like, microtransactions, huh? Okay, I can get on board with this. And the wolf was already in the sheep's pen by then.
Yeah, and we speak to it in the way, and a lot of other YouTubers and podcasters in the space that are, say, in our millennial age group feel this way and have this connection to, say, physical media because that's what they grew up with. But the new generation, they're not growing up with physical media.
No.
They're not looking at that as an option. They're not looking at that as going away. They're going to look at that as that's old news. Physical media is something that's like a millennial thing. People that grew up in our age who grew up with cartridges and all that. Yeah, even though it's still there with the Switch and so on, there's always going to be a small place for it, of course, because some people will like that. It'll have a certain use case and so on. But for the big games that are going around like Fortnite and like The Crew and all these things, everybody growing up now is used to live service. It's constantly changing. It's different. That's just the way it is. They're not going to be mad that, oh, I can't go back and play it. Some people will want to, but this is just the way the world's moving now.
Yeah. We have to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because it's too late. All right, this is where I ask Mitchell a question that has been bothering me for quite a while. Because I know, but do I really know? Do I kind of know? Who knows? Mitchell, for real though, for real, what's a VPN?
So a VPN does a few different things. For starting off, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. What's that? A lot of people already know what that is, but a lot of people are also Josh and don't know what it is. So,
Me dumb.
in the in the quickest version, you're going to see people using VPN probably to watch Netflix in another country or so on. So, really quick, one of the first things you can do with a VPN is when you sign into it, you can make it seem like you are somewhere else. You might be in Toronto, you might be in New York, you might be in Hawaii, you could be in any of those places, but you can make it look like you're in Italy or Ireland. And then you'll have access to Italy's Netflix or Ireland's Netflix or whatever you want.
And they all have different licenses.
Yeah. All comes back to the licenses. So that's pretty nifty. It's almost like you can get more out of your Netflix subscription without having to buy all these plane tickets to go everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's one nice thing to it. Another thing is VPNs offer another level of security when you're browsing. Something that I talked to Josh about a while back is how secure are VPNs, because there's been breaches and different ones. I'm not going to get into the different ones that were hacked and had issues, but VPNs were growing. Everyone was using them, and a couple of them weren't set up properly. This got hacked, that got hacked. However, nothing that functions is 100% secure.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a VPN, could be a antivirus, it could be a firewall, whatever it is. If something's 100% secure, it's also 100% not usable.
Yeah.
The most secure computer in the world would be in a concrete bunker underground, turned off, disconnected to the internet, with locked doors, security guards, everything you can think of. 100% secure. Even that, could get bombed or hacked into, not hacked, but broken into the building.
So,
but if something's 100% secure, it's 100% not usable. So the balance is always trying to find a good amount of security with good functionality, and VPN offers extra encryption. So, yeah, go ahead.
Just if you could speak to more of the privacy side as well, and I think that's where you're going to with the encryption. What I hate is getting ads for stuff I'm into when I didn't ask for it. Sure, it's convenient, but it's creepy. And what I've been told is the common belief was, if you use incognito mode to always do your searches, the people in your house won't be able to see what, but your ISP still knows, and they still sell that information, which comes regurgitated back to you in an ad. So use a VPN, and that will. But does it really work like that, or?
It's not quite that simple, because it depends on even the sites you're using and what you're giving permissions to in other apps and so on. But if you want to keep
permissions,
if you want to keep it secure from your ISP or even your government, then they can't see what's going on in your VPN. Once you go into a VPN, that creates a tunnel. So think about it as if, you dig a tunnel from your house to get to your friend's house and comes out over there. Nobody on the street can see what's going on. The government can't see what's going on. Anybody that you've hired or whatever can't see what's going on. Similar kind of thing. It creates a tunnel where you go from this point to that point. So with your VPN, your ISP, internet service provider, they don't know what you're doing once you've connected to the VPN. Government doesn't know what you're doing once you connect to the VPN. That can also allow people to do, say, malicious things, I guess, because they can hide themselves. But for yourself, unless the VPN itself gets hacked, it gives you extra encryption. Just Joe Blow is not going to go and be able to do something to you, or your ISP isn't going to be able to do something to you. It adds an extra level of privacy to everything, which is really nice.
So I have a friend that is in IT in the government, and we were talking about my obsession over privacy, and he basically said, just roll over and die. There's no point. He said, even if you use a VPN, and then he named, I won't name a specific service in case sponsorships happen later, but he named a specific company that was a VPN, and he said, they sell their information all the time.
Yeah, so there again, nothing's ever 100% secure. Never. And so on. What you have to do though is you try to get rid of as much as you can, right? If you lock your car,
it's mentality.
It can still get stolen.
Yeah.
People that have the means and the resources, if they really want that car, they're going
whip
to
out their
steal it.
flipper zero and they get to work, man.
Yeah. But if you leave your car open with the keys in it, anybody could be someone just walking along having a good time with their friends that are like, oh, look, this car's open. Oh, let's get the keys or whatever. And they go and they take it. Someone that never would have done it otherwise, now that this opportunity is presented because you did no secure action, now you're vulnerable. So it's about keeping out this many people so that you're only vulnerable this many.
Yeah.
These guys can still get you, but
But
it's
they're
better
looking for
to
the
not let
easy
these ones
stuff.
get you.
It's
Exactly.
like robbers. Like, oh, this door's locked. This door's locked. Move on to the, because they know at least 3 houses on this block are gonna have open doors. Just
Exactly.
out of forgetfulness.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about managing your risk, managing your exposure. You don't want to expose yourself to everybody, and this helps get rid of those low level malicious actors. So it definitely provides more security. It doesn't provide all security. Stuff can still happen, but it is good to have if that's something you're looking for. Another thing that it does too, VPNs, is sharing. So
Yes.
companies will use this so that you can connect remotely from home. That
Yeah.
could just be to the file server, that kind of thing, so that you have access to different things without having to actually be in the office. You can access this computer or that computer,
Because
which is super convenient.
My next question would be like, for content creators that are doing partnerships somewhat similar to us, if I'm making up some logos or some new edits, could we use a VPN in a way that like you could just automatically get them? I don't have to email. You can just take, because we're on the same network.
Yeah,
And the files
yeah,
are put
can
there.
definitely do that.
Oh.
You can set up your own VPN as well. Linus did a video about that. I think it was a couple years ago now, about setting up your own VPN and the pros and cons and how you can do it. But we wouldn't even need to set up our own. We could probably use something a little bit more straightforward. But for sure, you can use it for peer-to-peer sharing and yeah, avoid emailing and be able to connect things together. It's a certain way of connecting remotely. There's a few ways you can connect remotely. It doesn't have to be VPN, but it is definitely a nice resource.
Cool to know, man. Well, thanks
So,
for clearing that up.
Lots of functionality with VPNs when you come down to think about it. Security, sharing, remote access, and masking your location. So again, Irish Netflix.
So we've come down to the time of the tier list.
Tier list number 1.
All right, so we both get a say, but there's only one rule to this, that only one of these options get to go in the S tier.
All right,
Okay.
we're going that way. Sounds
good.
good.
Do you have any contributing rules you'd like to put into place?
I'm okay with just being one S tier. We have them all out here. Should there only be one awful one, or is that open for?
No. I don't know about that, because there's a couple of these that are just ass. All right, so I kind of like put them down in no particular order.
Okay.
Some you know more about, some I know more about, and audience, keep in mind we're Canadian, and
we
VPNs.
don't have Hulu or Peacock or many of these other ones.
But I hear they're great and whatnot. But yeah, so Crave. Now Crave's interesting because it's kind of like a partnership with Bell, a telecom, where you can kind of like either record stuff, they have stuff on demand, and it also has partnerships with like I think even HBO, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so in the States, I think it's just HBO Max or whatever HBO's changed their name to now. But here in Canada, Crave is where we would get HBO for streaming. You have different tiers of Crave. So I think they have like a $10 a month model where there's ads and limited access to things. I think they have a middle tier, and then the top tier, which is I think $20 a month, is full access to HBO, to all their content, 4K and multiple devices.
All right, so I feel like we shouldn't put something in the S like right away. Maybe we can like tweak it at the end. But it's at least okay, if not kind of great.
I would say it's great because if you're
Yeah.
making use of these things, uh, HBO is top tier content for anyone that watches those programs. And the other stuff that Crave has, honestly, they have good stuff. I believe Friends has moved over to Crave. Used to be on
Mm.
Netflix, and in the US, I believe it moved to Peacock. But here
Think of the
it moved over
watch
to
volume
Crave.
that they get from Big Bang Theory
Yeah, they have Friends, they
alone.
have Big Bang Theory, they have HBO, they have a lot of movies, and they're always refreshing. And I think they stay fairly up to date now.
Mm.
Crave has also come a long way in the past few years.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say it definitely goes into the great category.
All right. So next on the list is Paramount Plus. Now,
So
what Paramount Plus is doing that Crave isn't, to the best of my knowledge, not doing is they're doing the Netflix model and the Disney Plus model where they're doing some originals.
yeah,
So they have like, I think they rebooted Star Trek, multiple series of that, which has an audience. They did. Is this where Fallout was, or was that Prime?
that's on Prime.
Okay.
Paramount Plus made Halo.
Yes, that
They
was
made
where
the
I was
Halo
getting to
show.
next. They made Halo, so which is I think coming out again soon.
I think so. I haven't watched it, and it seems like there's a lot of mixed reviews on that show because it's. I think any video game show is going to have
Well,
that kind of reception,
you'll get the
but
well. Actually, that didn't happen because that was a part of a dream sequence. Get
yeah.
out of here, nerd.
So
All right.
Paramount Plus, I think that Paramount Plus can be its own, but I have Paramount Plus just as like a subscribed channel on Prime, but I think you can buy it solo as well.
And I think it's like five. I think it's one of the cheaper ones.
It's on the cheaper side because they know what they have and they know that they're not a full tier streaming service with all these other things.
Okay. So I'm
I would
inclined to put it okay or meh.
I would put it okay because they're
Okay.
not overcharging. They're making original stuff. They have some good classic stuff. All the classic Paramount movies and everything are on there. So I would say okay.
Okay. So speaking of our nerds, you enjoy an anime every once in a while, don't you, there, Mitchell?
I suppose so.
So
Crunchyroll.
Mitchell. That's just Vitrol, Mitchell. Where would you put Crunchyroll?
Crunchyroll has to go into the great tab because it just has
Wow, what?
almost has everything you need. The only anime that it doesn't have really that is mainstream is Pokemon because they have their own thing.
Which we'll get into. Um, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you. What is that? Free or is that a monthly?
No, Crunchyroll has I think they have a couple tiers
Uh,
and I had to double check. I think the last time that I checked what the subscription was, I'm gonna trip over that word so many times.
subscription. That's
I think it's 15 Canadian a month
okay.
for
Okay.
Crunchyroll, and it has a lot of content, and it also releases things up to date as well, like I don't know, like One Piece, like one of the longest animes around. They stay up to date with the episodes. Netflix also has that show, but they're not up to date. Or I think they have maybe the new episodes or something, but they cut out a bunch in the middle. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
But
So
for
you
what
think
it
it's
is, yeah.
great? Exactly, and that's how we have to rank these: is does it accomplish what it set out to do? Right.
Yeah.
So Tubi, this is one of our first free ones.
So I'm not that familiar with Tubi. I've seen it, I've kind of looked at it, but I've never been drawn in to use it because it just looks like one of those things. It's almost like a scam.
Yeah.
So
The fact we both haven't used it, I'm gonna go into
yeah,
awful.
I think it's awful. If there is some sort of saving grace and it has something great about it, I hope that I discover something new about
Let
that.
us know in the
But
comments.
let us know in the comments about that. But I don't think the Tubi is good. Is that great?
All right, now does it do what it said it to do? Right. YouTube.
So this is just YouTube itself without premium.
This is without premium. This is without Red, which we'll get into later. This is just the basic YouTube that you would use on a computer at work.
I would say it's great.
Yeah?
There's
Double
lots of
2 minute ads?
there's lots of ads now. However, where else are you going to get that much content for free?
I'm right there with you. I had to give you a little pushback for the pod.
If you're paying nothing for YouTube, if you're just going on there for free, the if there was no ads, that would be it. You have to make money to get good content, no matter where it's from.
Speaking of which, I'm going to put Pluto right beside Tubi. Just
So I looked into Pluto, and I'm not going to say it's awful
you give
because
me
it actually has good shows. It has classic stuff. It has newer stuff, and it's not overblown with the ads. It has less ads than YouTube.
okay. You want to put it in
So
meh?
I would put Pluto as okay
Well, you know what? Does it say that
for
it's free? What do you want from it?
for free content, and it does ads. I would say similar amount or probably less than if you were to watch it on cable.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely less than if you
You know
were
what
on
these are
cable.
great for? They're great for like you're over at your friggin' aunt's or something, and you're putting your kid down, and it fell asleep, and these are the only things that she has on her TV.
Yeah, actually, something interesting. So I checked out Pluto today, took a look at it. You don't even need to sign up.
Mm,
You can just download it and start watching stuff.
that's good.
You don't
Yeah.
need to make a subscription. You don't need to make an account. Yeah, if you do, then I think you get more features.
Oh,
But you can just
does that bump
you
it
can
up
just
to
go
great?
in and start watching stuff for free with ads. But still, they're reasonable. It's like watching like cable TV.
Hmm.
I would say okay. Maybe that could change if I start making more use of it. But I'm gonna say okay for now.
All right, all right. Moving on to one of the more premium ones, Disney Plus.
Disney
This
Plus.
one is the first one out of all these ones that challenges that top tier for me.
So what gives you S tier vibes for Disney Plus?
I'm a big Star Wars guy. I'm a big Simpsons guy.
It was definitely big news when Disney Plus got Simpsons when it released.
And I also have two kids that are big Bluey people and Disney princess people. So it's got everything they need. So that's what I'm willing to put it top of great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I like that. I'm willing to put it top of great, but maybe down the line up to S. You?
Definitely okay to put it at great, mixed on S because it's I don't know it has everything you want if you're a family. It has the
Yeah.
stuff for mom, dad, kids, whatever you wherever you're at, whoever you are, it does have something for you for sure.
What I like is it
And
has that partnership. It's got like stars and all that stuff. So like there's tons of like sitcoms that were really great, but you didn't get onto a good streaming service. But they're still good. It's
yeah, and I think that Disney Plus is also better in Canada than the US because
oh
there's certain exclusives that I think are on Hulu that we have on Disney Plus because we don't have Hulu. Like
ah
something that I know
licenses.
from my wife and what she watches is in the US, I think the Kardashian show is a Hulu show,
Mm,
but here it's on Disney Plus because we don't have Hulu.
mm.
So it's jacked up a little bit more with some things that I think in the US they would have to pay something else for. So Disney could be the S tier. I don't know. There's a couple other kind of big hitters that are still
All
there
right.
that I don't know.
Let's reserve the S tier. All right. I'm gonna put that right in meh.
CBC Gem,
Yeah. I'm gonna
I would
tell you
say it's
why.
Matt.
You say in meh too?
I think so, but yeah, go ahead.
Um, it does have local channels for like news and stuff. if you don't have a TV in your house, like a connection, like a cable or anything. And you can get the odd hockey game on there too. But it's not offering anything great on demand. So I put a like convenience factor, but library is kind of awful, so I put it right in the middle to meh.
Yeah, it has a few sitcoms that were CBC exclusives and so on that you can get on there. It's again CBC Gem is free with ads, so it has a few okay things, but yeah, it's something that I don't really use because even the stuff that's on there, you can usually stream it somewhere else if you have a subscription to like Netflix or somewhere
Mm.
else, and then you don't have the ads, right? So yeah,
Mm.
I think meh is the good spot. I don't think it's awful. I think
Yeah,
meh is where it lives.
it's definitely setting out to what it wants to accomplish. All right, I'm gonna let you. I'm a big Pokemon person too, but I'm gonna let you.
So I think that the Pokemon TV service is, I think, okay. I would maybe even meh because it skips a big amount. It has the original ones, but it skips, I think, from like season 3 to season 20.
So top of meh, bottom of okay.
Yeah, I guess it's okay
Okay,
because if you're going back to watch the originals or whatever, they're there, but they're not all there. If you want to
I'm
kind
sorry.
of start getting beyond.
I'm gonna put Pluto in the bottom of meh.
So yeah, I think okay
Here's another
is the
big.
spot for Pokemon TV.
Here's another big hitter.
Apple TV,
You're huge onto this too, right?
I would say at least great. I don't think it can be the S because Apple TV, they don't have shows that are not theirs. They only have originals. However, I think that they have the best originals of any streaming service.
But they also link to other services as well.
They link to others, like it's kind of like a hub, but you still have to pay for those other services.
Yeah,
It,
for sure. But like, you don't. There is a convenience factor where you don't have to leave the app.
yeah, so it links all your everything together. It has the best originals, and it's also a
Ted
store.
Lasso. Did you watch Ted Lasso?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like alone.
yeah, exactly.
I,
Top tier originals, links everything together, and well, I guess it's not the only one, but it's one of few that actually has a store you can buy your content as well.
and if you do your Apple iCloud or whatever, right, all this with Apple Music and your iCloud and all of that is all in one package. I have Apple One, so it's all one subscription.
Now we have a few that are left here. S is empty, but let's carry on. Apple is definitely in the great column. I don't know. It could
You,
move up, but
you
it's
think it's better than Disney?
mm, I would say they're tied for different
At least the
reasons.
Disney we know in Canada.
Yeah.
All right, YouTube Red.
So
I
for Canada, YouTube Red is just the old name for premium, but apparently in the US it's still there and it's different.
So the only reason I'm not putting this into great, and I have a little bit of experience with this, the only reason I'm not putting this into great is that it's not available in my country in the way that it's meant to be. The way that it's meant to be is like giant DVR, where you want something, you look it up, and you record it.
See, that's really good, but in the case of if we're looking at these as the Canadian versions, then
It
YouTube
doesn't
Red would
exist.
technically be YouTube Premium for us then.
Yeah. So
And in which case, where
let's
would
do
you put
that.
YouTube
YouTube
Premium?
Red / YouTube Premium. Would you put it in great? Definitely better than YouTube.
Premium, I would put in great, yeah, because I spend more time probably watching YouTube Premium than any other streaming service,
Mm.
and the variety of content that's on there is wider than any other one.
All right, so the next service says Sportsnet, but it's also TSN. That's our version of ESPN or whatever you have in the states. And
Yeah, and
go ahead.
it's a tough one.
Yeah,
The
I'm
thing with
almost considering putting it in meh.
I would say so because
Mm-hmm.
the thing with Sportsnet is if you're just if you're just watching hockey, then it's fine. You basically will get all the hockey games that you want to watch. It has some basketball, and I think it has okay amount of baseball.
Okay, so
I mainly
you know what that description leads me to believe that this is the IKEA of furniture. They give you almost everything you need. Almost. You still got to go back to the store and wait in line for a part, but they give you almost everything you need.
almost everything. Yeah, the if you want to watch all the sports, if you want to watch all the hockey, all the baseball, all the basketball, all the football, and all the soccer, you will need Sportsnet now, TSN, and DAZN.
Yeah,
DAZN is mainly soccer and football,
yeah.
and then basketball and hockey and baseball and a little bit of soccer is all split between Sportsnet and TSN. So you have to spend, I think, if you get them all, you're spending like $60 Canadian a month or so
Mm.
just for your sports to get everything. If that's your thing, if you like all these sports, and you got to buy all these streaming services because this is a little here, a little there, a little there. Very annoying.
Okay,
So I put it in meh for being a part of that group.
yeah. The bureaucracy kind of really brings it
Yeah.
down. All right, moving on. Prime.
Prime Video. So Prime Video is up there with Disney and Apple in some ways.
I would, I would,
They're
I would even
I'd say they're
say,
hit and miss with their original content. They kind of go through spurs. I mean, they do have a ton of huge shows, not ones that I really watch that much. I don't use Prime as much as the other ones, but again, you can add on all these channels. You can add Paramount Plus to Prime. You can add all these different things to Prime, and then they have their originals as well, right? It can be somewhat of a one-stop shop because you can also buy movies and different things on Prime as well.
I'm going to, for me, and this isn't the final placing, you can let me know. I'm going to put it in the middle of okay. That's because of the microtransactional uh, vibe that you get from the thing where the stacks there that they have where you can just
Mm.
add $6.99 for this series, $6.99 for that series. Well, you might as well just go buy them somewhere. So
Yeah,
that
that's true.
that alone would even put it to awful for me. But what gets me is their originals, the fact that it comes with I think if you have a Prime membership, right? For Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
it's included in your Prime membership.
and starting this year, we're both hockey fans. They're gonna carry the regional games.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I think that puts it to kind of mid okay.
I can put it in okay because something that we also didn't really talk about because it shouldn't matter as much, even though it's still a factor, is I think it also has the worst user interface.
Yeah, yeah,
Crave
definitely.
is also not the best. It's
Yeah,
kind of like glitchy, but
I'm actually.
for
Yeah, now that you
Crave moves
say
down the
that,
line.
man. No, this is what it's for. This is what it's
The,
about.
the the Crave interface is trash, but Prime is also the worst. And Prime just looks like one big ad, and you're trying to like find stuff, and it's not easy to find even what you were watching or to get to this spot.
Even when you
Prime is a pain to navigate.
even when you start a new series and you're paying the maximum amount, it still gives you an ad at the beginning. It doesn't interrupt, I don't think, but it gives you an ad at the beginning,
Yeah,
which is dumb.
that's true. Yeah, it's like a preview.
You know what? I think it goes behind Pokemon. Right next to Pluto. Wow. Come on, Bezos. Get your stuff together. All right.
Okay.
Final option. This is I saved one of the heavy hitters for the end.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere in here.
Yeah. So, I mean, we might not have done this the best way because the S is basically just open for discussion now.
Yeah.
I feel like part of it, we should have picked the S before and not been able to go back on it. However,
Well, we'll
I
keep
would
that in mind
say
for next time.
I'm not going to put Netflix in the S tier. I don't think so. It started a lot of this streaming and is good. Again, here it still has The Office. They lost Netflix
Best
Office.
interface though.
Um, yeah, best interface for sure. Uh,
Like, you go use Tubi and tell me how Netflix is. I
so
know
I
that's
would
a
say
garbage. That's a garbage argument, but like, it's pretty
so. I'm
easy.
not. I think S is between Disney and Apple because YouTube Premium, despite the fact of how great it is, you could if you had to get by, you could still use YouTube without premium.
Maybe by a browser that has ad blocking,
Sure.
but don't do that.
But
That's bad.
I like premium because I also I download stuff and whatever to watch on the go. But I could sacrifice YouTube Premium before a lot of these other ones because then I could still get all the content. It would just be less convenient in certain ways. So I think S would be between Disney and Apple TV. I think I have to give it to Disney because
Yeah,
they have the most in their streaming service. Apple TV has its positives and has its really good originals, but they don't have anything that's not an original just available to
So
watch.
going back to Netflix, they started it all. Started with DVDs in the mail, and if you have an old TV that didn't get any firmware updates, you can still use like the Netflix interface that was back in the day. And I've done that. It was horrible, and they've made great strides. But they're not the company that's been in the entertainment business the longest, and that's Disney, and it shows.
Yeah.
They know what you want. There's no paywalls. Well, there's a paywall for sure, but there's no like there. I think there actually is like tiers with ads, but I don't know anybody that's doing that.
Disney as well, they've raised their prices, but they're still significantly less than Netflix. I think even Prime is raising their prices and they're going to be more than Disney.
Marvel,
So,
Star Wars, Simpsons, like it's got all the heavy hitters really,
yeah,
and some
and
of
they
the
have
indie
they
stuff
have a
too.
lot of the good like classic sitcoms and stuff now like they
And
have
they even have Disney
uh
stuff.
yeah. Believe it or not, Disney has Disney. All the
Here,
classic
you can
Disney
have this
stuff.
boat, or you
So,
can have this magic box. The magic box can contain anything. It could even contain a boat.
it could even be a boat.
So there's our list, guys. We have Disney at the top, followed by Apple, Netflix, YouTube's, and so on. And Tubi at the bottom.
To be or not to be. Definitely not to be, but what do you think of our tier list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think the Netflix is the S tier? Why or why not? A lot of people will probably push back on that because they're mad about what they've done with Marvel and Star Wars and all that. But
And Mitch,
we
I had a
like to
fun
look
time
past
with
these
that.
things.
I had a real fun time. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that was fun. We need to do
That
more
was
of
good.
that.
Yeah,
I can see us.
I think whether we have that regularly in the cast or we just do tier list
From
videos
time
here
to
and
time,
there,
yeah.
either way, I think that's gonna keep going.
Yeah. All right. What's up next, sir?
So we are almost out of ideas, eh? No, we're never out of ideas. Okay, we want to talk about a couple of creators that we like. One that I'd like to mention today is RGT85. Awesome content. Sometimes gets in his little riffs where he release some controversial things and people get mad and whatever.
He's
And
not
I think
afraid
it's
to poke the bear.
no, he's not afraid to just say it like it is because he talks about video games and stuff. And he's just like, I'm talking about video games. It's not a big deal. But all these people get all mad and he finds it entertaining and I find that entertaining. So check out our GT85. Let us know what you think about him. I think he's great. And he posts every day.
That's insane.
Every day.
Dude, just this
Hard
podcast,
hard working individual over there.
in hours alone, just us talking via text, like per week. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely. I can't imagine posting every day. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
So shout out for him.
to think about, research, film, edit video every single day. It doesn't sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's half an hour.
Yeah.
Just gets it done. Awesome. Really, really great, solid creator.
Mm. So that's RGT 85.
RGT 85. Check him out.
Now,
Be linked below.
and this will be linked below as well, have chosen someone too in the video game space, but they're more retro, and that is Wolfden. That is WULFF Den. And so he deals with like mostly emulation. Like he'll buy these like Chinese like knockoff emulations, and like he's got libraries of his own ROMs, right? He's not committing any crimes, but like he'll buy this Ambernick whatever, and it'll just come with like 300 games. He's like, well, that's not totally legal, so I'll just delete those and put on my own. And yeah, so then he also does like the handheld race. So he was a big fan of the Switch. And he's got a podcast about the Nintendo Switch as well. But when he learned about Steam and how the indie games that were on Switch came from the Steam library, ported over, he went and got himself a Steam Deck, and he's been like about that life. And then he does a little bit of retro gaming as well. He even built himself a little arcade stand there, and you just really high quality content. Even his ads, I don't mind watching because they're so creative, and like I don't know if he's shooting with a red, but like everything's so crisp that it hurts my eyes. Like that's
Awesome.
Like I see his shots and just the filmography. I'm like, oh, one day, man, one day we'll get there. But yeah,
Awesome. I haven't watched any of his stuff. I'm going to check him out this week.
yeah, you should. You should. It's really
Cool.
great stuff. So, guys, that was the pod. Hope you liked it. We ranted about Game Pass. We laughed about the ripoffs that Microsoft's doing with the new laptops, and we did one epic tier list, our first one ever. And I think that one's a keeper.
I think the tier list is a keeper. Looking forward to doing some other stuff with the tier list. I've already got a bunch of ideas, but you're going to have to tune in again to see the next one that we do.
Yeah, that's just it. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And what really helps too is if you share and comment.
Yeah, we want that user engagement.
Where we will follow up like within seconds. We have no lives.
Oh yeah, we're just sitting there looking at our empty email inbox.
It's like, come on, someone comment. But yeah, no. Yeah, that'd mean the world to us. So we're small creators, and that would help us out a lot. So until next week, I've been Josh. He's been Mitch, and we've been broken on the inside. We didn't make that joke one time.
That's true.
We almost
That's
lasted the whole episode.
Wow.
All right, Broken Port Podcast. See you guys.
Later.